Good evening, folks. Just a quick video. As a lot of you probably heard, a young Kazakhstani fighter who was knocked out by David Morrell. I've learned his name because it's only respectful. I've tried to pronounce it as best I can. Aidos Yorbossynuly. I've probably destroyed that name and I do apologise. Since his knockout loss, he's been placed in a medically induced coma. My thoughts, it's very windy here, I do apologise. Our thoughts are with him and his family, and when something like this happens, it just demonstrates how dangerous boxing is. We all know the risks, which is part of the excitement, I think, is the knowing that we know the risks of this great sport of ours. But you know, when something like this happens, it highlights the dangers, and this is why I don't like play boxers, like our YouTube friends or whoever, who treat it like it's a big joke. And boxing isn't a joke. And when something like this happens, it brings it home that accidents can happen, people get hurt. It's a serious, dangerous business, and you can't play boxing. And I've seen a lot of criticism today that Tony Weeks, the referee, should have stopped it, or this young man's corner should have pulled him out. Maybe so, but it's very easy in hindsight to look back and criticise. You know, ultimately, he kept coming out for the rounds himself. And fighters are always too brave, as we know a lot of the time. I mean, he could have stopped, he could have gave up, he could have retired in his corner. But unfortunately, we have this stigma in boxing that you can't be a quitter, you mustn't quit. And I've never really bought into that. I mean, I don't like people who just bail for pathetic reasons, that's different. But if you're taking a lot of punishment, I mean, you think in a person's career, a boxer's career, boxing's only going to be part of their life. They're going to be boxing for at least 10 to 20 years, just on average. You've got the rest of your life to look forward to, and you don't want to be impaired. We hear so many stories of guys. Mickey Ward, you know, took a lot of punishment, and his short-term memory is shot. You know, I read that. I did a review on the book Damage by Tris Dixon a good few weeks ago, and that highlights, you know, the dangers of this wonderful sport of ours that we all love. I mean, anybody who laces up a pair of gloves and steps in a ring deserves any respect. I see so much of it online, people slating fighters for quitting, or calling them bums or whatever. And it's kind of like, you know, okay, you might like a certain fight, you might like certain things happen. We all have our opinions on things, but you must respect them. Anybody who's brave enough to do it and takes it seriously. And again, this is why I don't like the YouTube boys treating it like it's all a big joke and it's all a laugh. You know, and unfortunately, when stuff like this happens, this young man who's in a coma, it could be one of them easily, or worse. I mean, I boxed as a schoolboy, and my mother made me stop when I was 15. And I was so angry at the time. As I've grown up, and I know, and I've matured as an adult, obviously, I know the risks, and I appreciate why she didn't want me doing it. I mean, I wasn't particularly good anyway, which is probably part of the reason. I'm not saying if I'd kept going I would have turned pro or anything like that. I'll probably not, yeah, because I didn't like getting hit, and I wasn't particularly defensive minded, so she made the right call, absolutely. And I haven't got the guts for it, to do what these guys do. I'll quite happily admit that. And yeah, so thoughts and prayers with. I'm going to read his name again. Aidos Yorbossynuly, or Yorbossynuly. Again, I've probably said it wrong. I heard it several times while I was watching the fight. I watched the fight back yesterday. I didn't see it live. And I heard his name pronounced all the way through the broadcast, and it just doesn't register in my brain. So, I apologise if I seem like an ignorant person. I try my best, but it's some of these, like especially from Kazakhstan, some of their names, I have to really concentrate, and I've had to write it down here. So, yeah. So I apologise if I come across as an ignorant Englishman. So yeah, when things like this happen, it always puts things in perspective. I mean, we've seen plenty of guys get hurt just in my lifetime. I remember being I was only 8 years old when Michael Watson got seriously injured by Chris Eubank, and obviously he survived and he pulled through better than the doctors ever thought he would. But he's got a lot of disabilities, and obviously poor old Gerald McClellan after the Nigel Benn fight in '95 when I was 12. That he's got serious problems, and Paul Ingle, who was knocked out by Umbulelo Butile in 2000, he has problems. Spencer Oliver, I mean, he came through the other side. He's relatively healthy. Some of them are relatively healthy. Jerry Gamache, people like that. But even chaps who never suffered, serious, like they've never had to be treated for blood clots or anything necessarily. Mickey Ward and people like that. There's reports now. He gets terrible migraines, and he gets his short-term memories shot away. So it makes you wonder, the long-term effects of this sport. And obviously all the do-gooders will come out of the woodwork now. Oh, ban boxing, boxing's terrible. Look, if you ban boxing, it'll drive it underground and you'll get more people getting killed. So keep it legal and more people will get through it. But watching the fight back, I watched it again this afternoon when I'd heard that he'd been put into an induced coma. I watched it back, and again, hindsight's wonderful. From about the 6th, 7th round onwards, it was like, he should have been pulled out. Definitely, all the referees should have stopped. Because you could see he was taking flush punches. There's nothing against Morrell; he was doing his job. It's boxing. It's not pillow fighting. As Ricky Hatton famously said, it's not a tickling contest in there. So, just thoughts. I'm just thinking about the guy. It brings it all back. I mean, boxing is so full of following boxing is a very exhausting thing sometimes. You're up and down all the time. 1 minute, you're high as anything. You've seen a great fight, Shields and Marshall the other week. And then previous to that, obviously the letdown with Conor Benn testing positive for drugs. And then recently the announcement of Fury Chisora 3 that nobody wants to see. And then we had a great weekend of boxing this weekend. You're high again. And then of course the news today that the young Kazakhstani fighter is in a coma because he suffered brain trauma. So you're brought back down again. So it is very exhausting following this sport as closely as I do. So yeah. Right, that's enough out of me. Again, thoughts and prayers with him. And you take care, and I'll speak to you next time.